Hi everyone and welcome. In this recording, I would like to share with you a really powerful epiphany or divine inspiration, or call it whatever you want, that I've just had. And even though I don't usually do this, I don't really share things which are highly personal, but this epiphany spoke to me so very powerfully that I do believe that maybe on a certain level or in a certain individual way specific to you, you might be asking yourself the same questions, or you might be contemplating the bigger meaning of life and everything that is going on right now. And this is to be expected, to be honest, because we are very, very, very close to the long awaited Jupiter and Neptune conjunction. And before I get into my epiphany, I would just like to say a couple of words about this really important celestial event. Well, Neptune and Jupiter do meet once every 12 years, but very, very rarely do they meet in Pisces. And these two planets, are the rulers of this part of the sky. Jupiter is the ancient ruler. Pisces is its most mysterious home. That is where it's miraculous and beneficial. The benevolent qualities of Jupiter are almost infinite. That is basically the period for miracles. While Neptune only spends around 14 years in this part of the sky, once every 166 years, so that is really, really rare for them to meet exactly in this part of the sky where both of them are incredibly powerful, and even rarer that they meet in the third decan of the sign of Pisces, which is highly, highly transformative, that always represents a very, very big ending and a new beginning. And Jupiter, after this conjunction, moving into the sign of Aries, does speak about that new beginning as well. And another very important element here is that one expression of this meeting of Jupiter and Neptune, it is basically the flooding of spirit. This is where spirit, the ether, dreams, fantasies, everything that the Neptunian expression is notorious for, including illusions, of course, and Jupiter amplifying it, magnifying it, and adding its own element of deep, deep faith. Well, that is a very powerful, mystical, miraculous, almost fantasy, lived, physically type of experience for all of us. And since the divine is incredibly close to us right now, Jupiter and Neptune are already conjunct, so this energy is already active. Chances are a lot of us are having deep realizations and epiphanies while feeling totally, absolutely, never ever experienced before, way lost in life and all of its mysteries. And perhaps for many of us, it's not the uncomfortable, highly fearful lost, but rather a type of lost where we're just floating and that's it. We might no longer feel the difference between the polarities. Everything is washing into one. The symbolism of Pisces, communion, the oneness of all things. And, if you ever heard about this esoteric principle, the law of one, well, right now, and especially around the conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune, Jupiter, divine justice, the law of one, conjunct the divine source Neptune, the infinite ocean of existence and the divine creational power. Well, one way or another, that will also be a moment of maximum divine justice, but the Jupiterian karmic expression. So this is where, it kind of feels the way where our unconscious, our emotional world, and everything, water element related inside of our beings is totally in dominance right now. And water can be pretty chaotic when Neptune and Jupiter slowly but surely stir it up and keep it stirring. It's like a whirlpool. And it's also so very foggy, like the fog of the sea. This is one of those really rare moments when we want to have our heads below the water because that feels more comfortable than above because of the fog, because of the confusion, because of the general Neptunian vibe, which also has negative sides to it, like the fear, like the mass psychosis, like the paranoia, like the undoing of the self playing out on the world stage. And I'm hinting to a specific country here, or a specific world leader. The Neptunian grip, so very lost in his fantasies, in his own self-fulfilling prophecy, which is fulfilling itself, but towards its undoing. So yeah, this is Neptune and Jupiter together, and this on one level is also happening in our own lives, in our own destinies, in our own karma or soul or emotional world as well. So we are living something truly big individually as well. But now finally let me get to the essence, to my epiphany. And this has to do with one of the qualities of Jupiter and Neptune together, which dissolves memories, traumas, lived experiences. This is the type of energy that can truly even change the past, because it simply changes how we recollect the memory. It transforms our lived experience, and as it does that, everything that remains within us is kind of pretty pure and divinely placed there, if that makes sense. And when I say this, many of us are immediately gonna start looking in our virtue bags, in that inner suitcase where we keep our virtues. And perhaps this is the mystery, this is the irony, this is the Scorpio decan of Pisces. Perhaps we have to look in the opposite bag, where we keep our flaws, our divine flaws, our flaws of nature, especially that which is not really physical, but rather either emotional or psychological, or in the borderline between mental and psychological, like something which has to do with faith. And one of the key words, and one of the key feelings, better said, that pops up here is a type of heartbreak that I can almost guarantee I would truly put my hand in fire. This is a saying in my culture, when you're absolutely sure of something, that every one of my listeners or whoever is going to be listening to this recording had or still has a really strong theme of heartache playing out in their lives. A heartache that no matter what we do, it follows us, it haunts us, it reenacts itself, it always is present in our lives, and it leaves us with so many question marks where we just don't know anymore what we're doing wrong, what's wrong with us, what pattern is it this time, or is the layer of the trauma and the misaligned beliefs infinite? Does it go all the way to the endless bottom of the soul? And many times this is the biggest illusion that we're in. Perhaps sometimes we actually have to look up to the sky to see the answer, because as above, so below. And when we look in the realm of Pisces, we see that Jupiter and Neptune, which speaks about addiction. And many people are addicted to external substances, or are addicted to company of people, energies, etc., etc. But perhaps some very, very rare people, those who have empathic senses, the sixth sense, those who are touched with a more invisible side of the world, which in this day and age is not invisible at all anymore. Sometimes it's actually more visible, more livable, more experienceable than the telluric plane, than like concrete real life, but that is a totally different story in itself. So these very special people can be actually addicted to an emotional state, and that can represent heartbreak. And you, like I have, immediately would ask yourself, How on earth would you be addicted to something so painful, so bad, so shattering, so daggers in the heart? And I could use so very many metaphors here. But perhaps if we look in our hearts of hearts from the eagle's perch, we might see a totally different picture, because the Piscean expression is also Christ consciousness, infinite compassion and empathy. So basically, you might have all the divine gifts inside of you to truly be happy because you're connected to the source. You have an extra sense. You see something that is infinitely more beautiful than just the five-sensed eye could possibly ever see. But you also sense, see, and, basically experience every single day so much misery, so much unhappiness, so much discordance, so much truly false and heavily toxic happiness playing out around you. And that kind of shatters a certain kind of sacredness within, and that immediately leads to the heartbreak of the inner child. So as long as we experience life and our reality and everything that has to do with it in this way, in this dual way, well, the heartbreak is always going to return to us in so very many different type of expression. Even, let's say, and this is such a stupid little example, even if we are so knowledgeable, so wise, so disciplined, that we clean our lives and keep it in total balance, so the heartache would not have a door to walk into our lives, it can still find the most unusual ways, like a computer game, an online game with players and stuff like that, a pet. It will immediately find another way around into our lives, because it is that divine expression, and because it's of divine nature, it cannot not manifest, if you know what I mean. And that, in a way, is our ethereal stigma that we just cannot get rid of. And if we live with it long enough, we will start to believe that we're even lower and dirtier than that side of the world which kind of shattered that sacredness within us. So we just start symbolically bathing in mud and then immediately go and start washing it off. And this continuous maddening process of living life in a certain way and then purifying and then doing it over and over again every single year, well, it kind of masks, it makes us forget about that sacred heartache. And perhaps it is only now, once 166 years, when these two planets meet in the sign of the unconscious, in the sign of the infinite and eternal, inside of us, including physically. Pisces is water, and we're made in a very large percentage out of water. So just think about the hormones, the moods, the physical expression of that which is the unconscious, and how it truly rules us. Just think about hormonal changes which cause mood swings, etc. So even if right now we're totally lost in a certain way, in an intimate way, where we can connect to the greatest mystery and secrets inside of ourselves, in that sense we're actually found for the first time the dichotomous nature of Pisces, the dual water sign. So perhaps if we want to get rid of this sacred heartache, and if we want to put a break, at least, on this continuous pattern playing out in our lives, we kind of need to do the impossible and start tapping into our deepest scorpionic self, as in this conjunction happening in the scorpionic decan of Pisces, but the south node being in the sign of Scorpio, and the north node in the opposite sign of Pisces. So the healing that we are doing right now is for the very long term, if not for the rest of our lives. So we really need to start believing that yes, we are carrying this stigma, we are carrying this cross, and on a certain level, it's not really our fault, because our divine configuration just projects into reality. If we carry it in on the soul, it has to be present in our lives. So the way we can change this or balance this out, if we truly start believing that we also have the chance, the opportunity, or this can be gifted to us to be happy and to have a lot of moments when we stand from a place of whole, passionate, prosperous, full of light, full of emotion, full of feeling, heart, as in the opposite of heartbreak. We all have Pisces in our charts, in our souls, so we can actually contradict reality. We can carry the sacred heartache inside of us, packed, wrapped up, but we can live the opposite, and this doesn't have to be impossible. This can be truly possible, because the sacred heartbreak will play out each and every time we choose to be compassionate, because we see our pain in the pain of another person and the pain of other soul, animal, being, whatever. And that is the way it actually should be, because alchemy, inner alchemy, the ability to heal, the ability to project, the ability to manifest something, does require an alchemized element of pain. And as long as that pain remains just on a divine level, a sacred heartache, then we basically have all our suffering stored there to be used for a divine purpose, being surrounded by that which is beautiful and harmonious, our normal balanced state. So all of this is truly possible, and that automatically means that it's absolutely okay to be lost right now, not to have the faintest clue what is going to happen tomorrow, or where your future brings you, or if divination or tarot or anything is not that very helpful right now. It just adds to the confusion. Well, do not worry. Just simply have faith and live in the knowledge that you're going to be more than okay. Because, for example, just like the Saturn and Pluto conjunction in 2020 might have represented a big and powerful transformation for the better, of course, with losses and compromises attached as well. Yes, that was part of the picture. For those people who mostly live in the world of matter and business and down-to-earth planes, the backbone of society. So for those people, it represented a powerful moment of transformation when they truly had to readapt to a new reality, of course for the better. And it was that period which really, really advantaged them, and they were divinely guided even through the hardship. Now in 2022, when all of this big energy happens in the sign of Pisces, well, of course it will advantage spiritual people, those who are of empathic nature, very emotional, the artist, the dreamer, the psychic, everyone who works with a human or psychological element in their profession, like psychologists, anything to do with beauty and aesthetics, because Venus is also going to be here very soon. Music, anything that has to do with fantasy, arts, make-believe, spirituality, religion. Just like another example which I forgot to mention earlier, the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction represented in the sign of Aquarius a big boost, a big upgrade, a big innovation, a new idea, a new vision, a new perspective for everyone who is intellectual of nature. Teachers, professors, writers, and everyone who works with the internet, technology, IT, basically the intellectual sphere, communicators, etc. So basically everyone will have a moment depending on what they represent internally. And this Piscean moment is definitely for those souls who are also here to kind of get a better grip, a bigger picture about the meaning of life and earthly existence, etc. Not everyone is truly curious about this. So basically, this is a big moment for us. Thank you so very much for listening to my thoughts and my epiphany. And I really encourage everyone to share their very own, because, I'm absolutely certain that everyone connected to my channel and to any kind of spirituality is having a lot of similar moments right now. So thank you very much again for listening, and really looking forward to listen or read or to somehow become aware of your experience or your epiphany. So don't be shy and share. Thank you and have a wonderful day.